singular and noble vision of heralding an independent India. Jai Hind. Now, our national anthem will be followed with this one. Please be stand up for a moment.
To say some few words about the independence history of India, and I will be very brief about the independence of India. First of all, I would like to congratulate to all on this occasion of Independence Day. It's really a coincidence that India and Korea celebrate this day as their Independence Day. So again, I would like to extend my greetings to Koreans as well. Let me brief you about the Independence Day movement. Well, it's not a very new thing for Indians to hear something about the movements which were carried out to get freedom and efforts made by Indians to obtain independence from British rule. But every time this whole story gives us the pleasure of revival of our soul that leads us to be more patriotic and teaches us to live in harmony. Actually, this story starts when European traders came to Indian shores with the arrival of Portuguese explorer Vasco da Gama in 1498. But British East India Company established itself in India after 1757, and it is considered the beginning of British rule in India. The East India Company gained administrative rights over many provinces of India, and the British Parliament enacted a series of laws to handle the administration of the newly conquered provinces. In 1835, the British government made the English as the instruction of medium, and many more literary and debating societies were initiated against some social and the cultural activities which were the integral part of the Indian vast culture. Even while some modernizing trends influenced the Indian society, Indians increasingly despised British rule. As the British increasingly dominated the continent, they grew increasingly abusive of local customs. All these abusive activities of British rule sparked the several regional movements against the foreign rule. But it was in the year 1857, a united rebellion movement against the Britishers, which laid the actual foundation of independence of India. And finally, with the efforts of many patriotic persons on 15th August 1947, after going through several ups and downs and struggle, India finally got freedom from the British rule. When we talk about freedom, our first thought goes to person who is the architect of the freedom, and he is none other than the father of nation, who is Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi. Without his effort, it was difficult to get freedom. He was a firm believer of
time, so I will summarize some of my knowledge about the Korean independence and the freedom struggle. August 15th marked the 57th anniversary of the liberation of Korea from 35 years of Japanese colonial rule. In 1910, the Japanese took control of the Korea, restricting Koreans' political freedom, controlling their economic and communication systems, and attempting to assimilate them into the Japanese culture. These actions resulted in a number of Korean resistance movements, including the March First Independence Movement of 1919, which was the largest of such demonstrations. After the atomic bombs were dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki in the beginning of August 1945, it ended the World War II, and the Japanese surrendered, and Korea gained its independence. The Soviet Union and the US agreed to oversee the Japanese surrender of forces in both the North and South Koreans, and the Republic of Korea was formed in the fall of 1948. Koreans who had been abroad quickly returned, and the struggle for the power between different conservative, moderate, socialist and communist groups which had formed during Japanese rule. And in the course of larger Cold War struggle between the America and the Soviet Union, these local tensions erupted in 1950, beginning the Korean War, and this war lasted until 1953 and resulted in the splitting of the Korean peninsula into the Korean and the South Korean countries. Given the recent North-South Korea summit and the opening of North Korean diplomatic relations, reports say that the coming years will be very good for the Korean peninsula, as they may have very collective efforts to make the Korean peninsula happier one. So I will summarize the recent diplomatic relation between India and Korea, as the Korean government has agreed to have the consensus on the business and the exchange of the students in the Korean and Indian countries. And then finally, I will say that Korean government is very happy to issue the visa after the arrival of Indian businessmen here in Korea. So this is a good note that India and Korea are going to start a new relation, and the Indian students are joining with the Korean students to study together in the both countries, not only in the Korea but in Indian universities as well. And finally, I will have my personal message for the Independence Day of India. On August 15, 1947, our founders adopted the Declaration of Independence, creating a great nation and establishing a hopeful vision of liberty and equality that endures today. This Independence Day, we express gratitude for our many blessings, and we celebrate the ideals of freedom and opportunity that our nation holds dear. India's strength and prosperity are the testaments to the enduring power of our founding ideals, among them that all men are created equal and that liberty is the God's gift to humanity and the opportunities it affords. We are thankful for the love of our family and friends and our rights to think, speak and worship freely. We are also humbled in remembering the many courageous men and women who have served and sacrificed throughout our history to preserve, protect and expand these liberties. In liberating oppressed people and demonstrating honor and bravery in battle, the members of our armed forces reflect the best of our nation. We also recognize the challenges that the world now faces. We, having the universal brotherhood, are winning the war against enemies of freedom. Yet more work remains. We will prevail in this noble mission. India is a force of good culture in the world, and the compassionate spirit of Indianness remains a living faith. Drawing on the courage of our founding fathers and the resolve of citizens, we willingly embrace the challenges before us. Please join me commemorating a safe and joyous Independence Day in order to realize and respect each other's liberty. May God help us keeping the spirit alive for the sake of humanity. Thank you.
Presented by our people. So, you all know about independence and these things. Just I want to say one thing. So, India is a rich country, but Indians are poor. So, this is because of some rational feelings. So, we should avoid all these things. So, I will tell, regarding me, I want to tell one word. By birth I am a Christian. I educated from two important persons. One is Chari, other one is Dr. Qasim. So, because I educated from three people, I have universal feeling among all the people. So, if everybody has that kind of feeling, it's the better way for us to continue our lives very smoothly. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. As we tell that unity in diversity, this is one of the, in the globe, in the whole world, the only one country which represents the unity in all the diversified fields. Because as in India, it is the country of a rich culture and a rich language. We have more than 200 languages and official languages of around 27. And as the castes and other systems, we have a very rich culture and the caste systems in India. So in that case also, still we tell that we are unique in the world. So the message of Dr. David Raju, it was a very strong message to the Indians, and he really showed the unity of India in here. And I invite Dr. Gupta to give their opinion about a small about India and Korea, and they can share their feelings.
Independence Day means we are independent. This is a fact. But another thing is we are more responsible to our everything. So independence means we are having the more responsibility. But if you see Korea Koreans are doing very, very well. So I want to say congratulate to Mr. Park and other Koreans for their doing actually what they are doing. They are really doing very, very well. Economically, in research also they are doing very well. But if you compare our country, we are doing really very, very bad. We are moving very slowly. This is the problem with us. So we have to move fast. This is the one message. If you see other countries, and if you see India, India is very, very old country. Don't compare with other countries. India is very, very old, like Egypt, like others. And India has old, very rich cultural thing. Very, very old, very, very good. But if you see, we are just losing our rich culture. So we have to save, and we have to work hard, naturally. Because don't compare with other countries, those are poor or something, those are nothing. We have to compare with good thing. We have to do it. Because we were the best. Earlier we were the best in all respects. But if you see now, Indians are living abroad. They see everything. If you come out from India, you see everything. I have visited US, now Korea, Ethiopia also, Sri Lanka, Kuala Lumpur, means Malaysia, so many countries I have visited. And I see the differences. It's very, very big. So naturally, we have to give more effort to increase our power. We have to give. It is must. So this is my feeling. Thanks.
For the closer six-bomb route which follows from India to Afghanistan to passing through the China and coming to South Korea. But we have the industrial good relationship between the India and the South Korea, where PESCO has just established its own industry in Odisha. A metro liner which is going from India, in New Delhi and Hyderabad, I belong from Hyderabad, that was developed by the Koreans. See, Koreans are also emphasizing that our IT, which we are designing, ammunitions and other things, we are number one. We are number one in the bulk drug industry also. Our industrial bulk drug is number one in Southeast Asian country. We are proud that we, from the scientific point of view, we are not far behind, but we are still progressing, but we have the limitation from the political circuit, not from the intellectual power. If we work hard, we can prosper. Our economical system depends entirely on the intellectual power, not on the political power. Thank you.
Okay, I am Dr. Sonisi George, joined recently 2 weeks back in Department of Chemistry with the Professor Sang Soo Kim. I will be here for 1 year.
We thank Professor Park. He is kind enough to join us whenever we ask his help or any favor. My dear seniors, people ask me what India achieved in the last 60 years. How are they different in these years? The only answer that I can give them, only answer, is that our India is still a country. Go to the Europe, Yugoslavia, break. Serbia, Montenegro, Croatia, as country. Go to the USSR, everybody knows the breakup. India, so many ethnic communities, ethnic people, languages, but still we are one. That is our biggest achievement. Second thing about the development, no doubt we are developing a lot in every field, science and technology, space, biotechnology, medical sciences, pharmaceutical industry, Ranbaxy, Infosys, Satyam, Wipro is a household name in the world. But on this Independence Day, we must think about our dreams, the dreams that we dreamed 60 years back. It is the empowerment of the poor, empowerment of the poor. Even in the Raj period, colonial period, Indians were prospering, but who? Only the wealthy people. And same cases now. Who is prospering? Mostly the wealthy people. So if someone says that our political system is somewhat a hurdle to our development, simply, I'm sorry, but I do not agree. Because our political parties, they are mass-based. They want to grow all the people, not a bunch of people, not like a corporate household or something like this. So I'm very proud of the political systems, whatever party it is. Since it has a mass base, it wants to develop the whole country, whole people, not a few. And about Korea, well, Korea is a land to be praised. However, we try to praise it, but it's not. Even still, we miss. The country with maybe only 10 or 20% arable land, agricultural land, compared with India. India has around 40%, more than 40% arable land, agriculture based. But in Korea, it developed so much. The hard working of the people, the vision of the people, the vision of the leader. We miss that in India. But we are catching up. We are catching up. We are moving very slowly, slowly. But as we take the mass of the people, our population is more than 1 billion. So we are taking 500 million people with us. So we are moving very slowly, 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 slowly. But if the people are only 30 billion, you can mass into velocity. You can just simply get how high they will develop. So I like my country, I like my political parties, I like my development, I like my corruption, I like everything about it.
From our Indian community. And I request Professor Park to give few words about this program.
Thank you for inviting me. Today is happy day. All together smile. Because India and Korea Independence Day. First of all, I celebrate Independence Day of India. I believe that India is the power nation of Asia. I respect Gandhi's non-resistance for India's independence and peace. Also, I know Tagore. He is known Korea, the famous poet. Especially Korean like Tagore's poem. He composed the poem, Korea is the lamplight of the Oriental. Korea is independence out of Japan in August 5th, 1945. India and Korea are the same independence nation. So India and Korea go together to follow the world for world peace. Korea is a blessed country. I want to show India. Thank you.
15th August Independence Day, the Indians and other nationals taking snacks just after the speech.
कुछ देर बाद हम लोग क्रिकेट मैच इसलिए केला खा रहा हूँ केला खाते हुए एकदम तेज बॉल डाल रहा है
Persons, see,
हमारे टीम का कैप्टन है ये शवी
team captain Shavi.
Yeah, I'm the captain of the Indian cricket team. And he's my opener and main bowler actually.
Mr. Rian.
मैं selector हूँ किरण मोरे.
You are? He's from Assam. Mr. Yogesh. Wasim. Dr. Gupta. Walid from Egypt. Sandeep. Bala. Zahid. Afzal. Ansari. Ishaq. Venugopal. Dr. Sheikh. Ganga. Professor Park.
Where is this? I didn't know that.
Yes.
then I came in
Dr. Ishaq,
Korea, then I came to Taiwan.
Dr. Ishaq without degree.
Dr. Shavi,
Thank you.
and other Indians. Moz, हाँ Moz दिखाओ तुम.
Korean language.
The kid. मेरा भी लगता है.
Cocktail पी रहे क्या? Cocktail पी रहे क्या?
Two more Indians.
कुछ नहीं है?
प्रमोद भाई हमारे चीते एकदम हुए पड़े हैं आज. खतरा. लेकिन ज्यादा खा रहे हैं आज, मोटे हो जाएंगे.
After the Second World War, completion of Second World War. ये बात आदर में नहीं है
अंकल उड़ा उड़ा मत बोल. आजेशी आजेशी. अरे आजेशी केक वहाँ पर क्यों? अच्छा तुम नया जूता फेंक तुम भी सर में रखते. I have seen music, yeah. बहुत फेमस है. When I watch television, मेरा भी लिखिए. क्या कर रहे हैं? हाँ मेरा भी लिखिए. मैं आपका ले रहा हूँ, मेरा लेते रहिए. So no, I mean they are taken from us. No. You can have many more left. 5 years back we visited Korea, and that time onwards. Right.
Is equal to MD square.
In some advertisement. इंडिया के आम जनता में आते हैं. हम गरीब हैं, हम मिडिल क्लास ऑर्गेनाइजेशन. Hello. Okay. This is for the organization.